In a town, there's a huge power plant where people work. One day they're celebrating a friend's birthday when something strange appears on the security cameras. There's a dark shape moving in a tunnel. A worker decides to go check it out, but suddenly, a mysterious monster attacks him. He tries to run back to the office, but more monsters follow him, killing everyone in the building. As all this is happening, the sky gets dark because the sun is hidden by the moon. The creature lasts as long as the sun is covered. Many people lose their lives, and cities are destroyed. It's a tough time, but eventually they manage to kill all the creatures. After that, people decide to be ready, just in case the monsters come back. They build special protective places called gates. After 15 years, the world has settled into a regular routine. Dave works as a janitor for a poorly paying company, often having to venture into shafts to deal with unpleasant tasks like removing dead animals from the local school. Laura, Dave's ex-wife, is a teacher, and she befriends a colleague named Milton, who keeps asking her out. Despite their past, Laura is working through personal issues, and today, she decides to accept Milton's invitation. In the midst of this, Laura's son Tyler is with his girlfriend Maddie. Maddie is worried about the upcoming eclipse, but Tyler reassures her, pointing out that there have been many eclipses in the last 15 years, and nothing harmful occurred. Meanwhile, Officer Garrett receives a call from personnel at one of the protective gates. They request his presence urgently because they've detected significant seismic activity and containment measures have been authorized. When Garrett arrives, he senses that this time it's different. He checks all the systems, only for a power box to explode, causing a complete blackout in the city's grid. Dave goes to Laura's house to pick up Tyler. While the boy is engrossed in video games, Dave and Laura end up in an argument. It is revealed that Laura was pregnant with Tyler during the last disaster, and Dave wasn't there for her. She hasn't forgiven him for that yet. Tyler interrupts the heated conversation and leaves with his dad. Later, in the middle of the night, Dave receives a call from Uncle Ted. Ted is convinced that the new Judgment Day is imminent and urges Dave to bring his family to a shelter before the eclipse begins. Meanwhile, Tyler is watching the news and becomes disturbed when he sees millions of dead fish washing up on beaches everywhere, a sign reminiscent of the events 15 years ago. Just then, the first monster appears at the protective gate. Simultaneously, Laura calls Dave, expressing concern after seeing the news. She insists that Tyler should come home because Milton has reserved a shelter. Tyler receives a text and decides to leave the house secretly. When Dave searches for him and discovers only a note in his room with Maddie's number. Meanwhile, Milton is pressuring Laura to hurry to the shelter because it's filling up quickly. Laura informs Milton that Tyler is missing, and in an attempt to locate him, Milton uses the boy's phone number to track his location using special software. They find Tyler at the skate park with Maddie, who is visibly nervous and scared because her parents have left. Tyler assures Maddie that he is different from his dad and promises never to leave her alone. Suddenly, a loud cry pierces the air, and large flocks of birds fill the sky, signaling another ominous sign of the reckoning. Panic ensues at the skate park as people run and attempt to escape the approaching threat. Soon, the roads are congested with families desperately trying to leave town. Dave is caught in a massive traffic jam, and when he notices a flock of birds in the sky, he decides to leave his car and continue searching for Tyler on foot. At the gate, workers are checking the systems when they hear strange sounds. Suddenly, a monster appears. Garrett runs away while the other soldiers open fire, discovering that regular bullets have no effect on the creature. After a tense search, Dave finally finds Tyler and Maddie just before emergency sirens start blaring throughout the city. Fortunately, Laura arrives with Milton, and they rescue the trio in Milton's car. With about an hour left before the eclipse, the city descends into complete chaos, with people desperately trying to escape and traffic jams blocking every road. The military declares that only women and children are allowed inside. Dave directs Tyler to enter the shelter with Laura and Maddie. However, once inside, Tyler has second thoughts and rushes back to his father, declaring that he would never leave him behind. And at that moment, the scoreboard announces that the shelter is completely filled. The group hurries back to the car, discussing their options. Dave suggests heading to Ted's hideout in the desert, while Milton thinks they should go to the school because it's closer and has a basement. However, they get stuck in another traffic jam. In response, they decide to leave the car just as an earthquake shakes the area, and the world plunges into darkness with the onset of the eclipse. The monsters emerge, taking over the city and ruthlessly attacking. Dave insists on leaving the city and takes the wheel, but Milton, angered because it's his car, argues that he knows how to save everyone. The disagreement escalates, resulting in a physical fight. However, their conflict is abruptly halted when a flying monster swoops in. In a desperate move, Dave shoves Laura into the car and takes control of the wheel to escape the city with his family. As they drive along the canal, they ponder theories about the origin of the monsters, questioning whether they were sent by God. Eventually, the car begins to run out of gas, prompting Dave to search for a replacement. He parks near abandoned cars and starts checking inside, only to discover lifeless bodies. When he finally finds an empty vehicle and gets inside, a hidden driver in the back seat pulls him down, revealing the presence of a nearby monster. As the monster continues searching around the vehicles for more victims, it eventually discovers a body and starts devouring it. Seizing the opportunity, Dave carefully and quickly rolls the car back to where Laura and the kids are. The family finally drives away from the area, taking an abandoned road in the mountains. Eventually, they reach Ted's hideout, a robust concrete bunker with closed doors and cameras on the roof. Despite their pleas and pounding on the door, nobody responds. Ted is watching them on his computer's cameras, while someone holds a gun to his head. A horde of monsters appears in the mountains, rushing toward the shelter as the family anxiously reacts. Dave grabs a tire iron to protect his loved ones. But then, to their relief, the bunker door finally opens, and they rush inside. Inside the bunker, the family meets Ted and his wife Stella, but they are surprised to find Garrett there too. It turns out that Garrett's father used to be war buddies with Ted, and he got separated from his unit, leading him to seek help here. Dave becomes suspicious when he notices Garrett has a gun. Despite the tension, the group shares a meal, but their nervousness increases as they watch on the monitors how the monsters try to smash the bunker door. Attempts to use the radio prove futile, as all they can hear are screams. Curious, Maddie asks how the monsters sense people. Garrett explains that they react to light and heat, raising the unsettling idea that they might see people's souls. He also recounts his survival story from the first Judgment Day. Garrett managed to dive into a pond of salty mud, burying himself to avoid the monsters that killed his colleagues and friends. While Garrett is engrossed in storytelling, Ted discreetly signals Dave to grab and hide a knife. Unbeknownst to them, outside the bunker, a centipede-like monster is crawling into a small hole. Garrett announces that he'll take the first watch. Ted invites the others to stay and play cards instead of sleeping, casting a meaningful glance at Dave. However, Garrett notices the gesture and quickly pulls his gun, prompting Dave to put down the knife. Garrett explains that Ted was against letting him stay, but it was Stella who felt sorry for him. Determined to survive at any cost, Garrett survived the first time and is determined to do so again. Suddenly, Tyler attempts to tackle Garrett in an effort to grab the gun, but Garrett easily pushes him away. An argument ensues, interrupted by Maddie pointing out that they can no longer hear the monsters. However, a centipede-like monster unexpectedly leaps out of the wall. Ted manages to rip the creature off his wife's neck and pours salt on it. Dave taking the gun and attempting to shoot the creature. The little monster skillfully dodges all the bullets, but Maddie manages to kill it with a knife. Afterwards, the group ties up Garrett and tends to Stella's bleeding, realizing she needs proper medical care. However, their attention is diverted as they see on the monitor a massive beast repeatedly striking the front door. Dave suggests they should leave, but Ted is reluctant, fearing his wife won't survive outside. Stella encourages him to go and reminds him of the underground passage beneath the bunker. Garrett offers to take everyone to the gate with his car, claiming it has a full tank. The group is hesitant to trust him. They decide to leave, and Ted reveals a hidden arsenal of weapons, with everyone arming themselves. As they enter the tunnel, Dave opens the front door and detonates an explosion that takes down the first beast. After properly sealing the tunnel, they venture outside and realize Stella is struggling to walk. She's starting to transform into a beast too. Walking down a road, Tyler spots a seemingly dead monster, prompting Maddie to approach it. However, Tyler stops her just in time. As she turns around, a long tentacle emerges from a hole in the ground and attempting to drag her away. Maddie screams. Laura shoots the tentacle, causing it to retract and freeing Maddie. The group runs away, and Garrett convinces Dave to untie him, promising to help in case of another attack. Unbeknownst to the others, hiding an injury on his arm. Later, they reach the top of the mountain, only to discover the city is burning. When they find Garrett's car, their hopes are dashed as it refuses to start. Monsters suddenly appear on the mountain's top, rushing toward them, and Garrett desperately tries to start the engine again, while Stella, realizing her transformation is inevitable, takes Ted's gun. In a tense struggle, Ted fights Stella, eventually taking the gun back and urging her to get in the car. However, Dave knows there's no hope for Stella and drags Ted back. Resigned to her fate, Stella waits for the monsters to arrive, and they swiftly eats her. Garrett successfully starts the car, and the group manages to escape. Along the way, they pick up a radio signal, learning that most shelters were destroyed during the onslaught. When they reach the gate, There's an eerie silence, and the door is mysteriously open. Proceeding cautiously, they enter to find no power. Deciding to split up, Garrett and Dave opt to fix the power while the others search for a first aid kit. As Dave restores electricity, Garrett's up to find a body. The duo rushes back to the group to discuss their options. Garrett suggests hiding in a chemical warehouse due to its blast-proof doors. As they leave the medical bay, a transformed human attacks Garrett. Dave joins the fight, and together they manage to defeat the beast. However, the commotion attracts more monsters. In a panic, Garrett dashes through a door, closing it behind him and leaving the others behind. He injects himself with something, seemingly fighting against the transformation. Dave leads his family to another room, noticing dispersal lines indicating the tank is on the other side of the wall. Inspired, he plans to funnel salt water through the tank pipes to keep the monsters out. Before he leaves, Laura kisses him. Dave navigates through the ventilation, witnessing a monster devouring its prey in a room. Upon reaching the tank, he opens the faucet quietly, allowing water to fill the containers. Dave climbs back, but the monster senses him and gives chase, grabbing his leg. In a fierce struggle, Dave fights back, sprinkling salt on the monster, causing it to crumble into dust. Meanwhile, the others find themselves surrounded by monsters, prompting Tyler to open fire. Dave's voice comes over the loudspeaker, instructing them to turn on the fire alarm. With monsters closing in, Ted instructs Tyler to protect the family, while he confronts the monsters with an axe. Unfortunately, Ted is overwhelmed by several beasts at once and is quickly killed. Tyler continues shooting until he runs out of ammo. He follows Dave's instructions and activates the fire alarm. Salt water starts pouring over the monsters, causing them to crumble into dust. As the eclipse ends, all the monsters retreat through the gate, triggering another earthquake. Laura and the children attempt to move, encountering Garrett, who is succumbing to the transformation. Garrett shoots Tyler, hitting them in the shoulder. Before he can shoot again, Dave intervenes, striking Garrett in the head with a fire extinguisher. As Dave reunites with his family, a colossal monster emerges from below, consuming Garrett. The family seeks refuge in the medical unit, preparing a salty mixture in a cylinder. When the monster kicks down the door, they throw the mixture at it, instantly killing the creature. After the ordeal, they venture outside to find a world utterly destroyed. Despite the devastation, they are now ready to embark on the journey of rebuilding. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.